Hey again, friends. Welcome to another Real Deal Wealth video. Today, we're going to be diving into our top books that have taught us the most about becoming wealthy. Let's get into it. Hey, I am Scott. I'm a side hustle specialist. We're joined by Steve, who's your real estate go-to, as well as David. And David is going to be your money man, all things loans and mortgages. And today we want to step away from real estate briefly, and we want to talk about the three books, actually one book for each of us, that have done the most for our wealth building journey. And we're only going to be touching on the single point in those books that has really been transformational. Now, a lot of times we read these big, heavy books and there's a lot of filler. And so what we wanted to do was do almost a Cliff Notes version for you guys today of these three books and just give that one main PowerPoint that has stuck with us, that is really, we've been able to look back on our track record of building wealth and say, yes, this idea really mattered. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. David, why don't you go first? What is the book that you're going to be telling us about? And then what's your main idea?
So today I'm going to talk about The Richest Man in Babylon. It's an older book, but the principles are sound. Many other books have been based upon these principles, and there are 7 main principles in The Richest Man in Babylon. I'm going to discuss the first 2. The one is paying yourself first, and the second is living within your means. Now you might think, well, shouldn't I learn how to live within my means before I pay myself first? Maybe, but there's a reason why, and there's an order to each of these 7 principles. And as you are able to master or at least implement the first principle, then it will help you to catapult you to that next principle. And so once we learn how to pay ourselves first, it mentions if you make 10 coins, use 9 and save 1 to do something else with that coin. And then, of course, learning to live within your means. No matter if we make $50,000 or $500,000, it seems like as our income level increases, so does our spending habits. We always want something else, whether it's a new car or it's a new yacht. If we can learn to curb those spending habits and live within our means, then we'll be able to never have to worry about living paycheck to paycheck and get out of the rat race that Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his book, which is, of course, another wonderful book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay, so give us a real life example of how this has shifted your wealth building journey, David. Talk about something practical that you've done to implement. What does it mean to pay yourself first, what it looked like before, and now what it looks like for you?
Absolutely. So I have a principle. When I first got my first real job, I was an analyst for a credit card processing company, and I went ahead and I paid myself first in that job, where I took a portion of my pay and I put it toward the stock that the company offered, and then they matched whatever I contributed to. Now, what's interesting about that is that I purposely forgot about that stock and just let it grow. And I've since left that company and gone on to do other things. What's cool about this situation is that that company was then later purchased by another company. And so the approximate $2,000 that I invested in that stock while I was working there, and I'd forgotten about for a few years. One day I looked back and I said, well, I could sell that today for $20,000. So in a few years, that stock of just $2,000 had transformed into $20,000 because I paid myself first. And I was able to cash out and use that $20,000 to pay off a van, my wife's van.
So Richest Man in Babylon, big idea, pay yourself first, invest in those 401ks, those Roth IRAs, those stock options your company's giving you. Invest in that stuff first and then live within your means. Good, super good stuff to start with. Let's pass the mic over to you. And Steve, tell us about your favorite book and why it's been so transformational in your wealth journey.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. So the one that I'm using is the Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Really like this book. It really has kind of transformed the way I think over time. For the longest portion of my life, I've been an employee, like a lot of people have. And being an employee is nothing wrong with that at all. It's actually it's a great thing. But I think I learned over time that I'm trading my time for money. And the problem with that is, as been an employee, that again, somebody else is controlling my time. And with this, there's really the 4 quadrants here, and you kind of see it here. There's the E, the S, the B, and the I. And the E stands kind of more on the left-hand side for being an employee. So if you do that, again, somebody else is going to get control of your time, and then you're going to get money based upon that time. But then I had moved out of that employee role into self-employed, which is the S on there. And that has been good. And so I've been kind of an independent contractor, been kind of running my own business. I work for myself, and that's really good as well. But the problem about being on the left side, being on the employee side and on the self-employed side, is that all the money that you make is based upon what you do. What I love to do now is I want to move over to the right side, which is on the business and the investment side, which is the B and the I, which is on the right side. If you're a business owner or if you're an investor, you are most likely receiving passive income. And the left side is more of the active income. Mine's now on the passive income side. So whether or not I do some things, once I get the ball rolling, then the money should come in automatically, whether I'm working or not. So my time can be freed up. And I've been trying to change my mindset throughout the years. So what am I doing that'll actually produce even when I'm not working? For instance, just by owning a house, I love owning a house. By owning a house, my money it's gaining even when I go to sleep at night. My stocks are an asset. I'm an investor. I put money into stocks. So my money, sometimes I'll lose, sometimes I gain, but overall, my money is working for me when I'm not working. So when you can start thinking that way, where I have to physically go do something versus I get the ball rolling and then things are happening for me and money is being made, makes a whole world of difference. So, whether you have your rentals, like you have a rental property, that's a great application of how you are making money when you don't have to actively be doing it. Or if you have employees as a business owner on the B side, that's another thing where you make money because your employees are doing the work, and so your business is running itself. So the more you can change that mindset of I'm doing everything to I get other assets that are working for me, the world changes.
I love that. And honestly, I think for me, Robert did a phenomenal job of first getting me that idea in my brain that each of my dollars is an individual little worker who's willing to work 24 hours a day, 365 days a week or a year without any extra pay, without any extra motivation, without me having to manage it, as long as you're sending it to work in the right kind of environment. And so again, that's what you're talking about, where you're not a slave to money, your money is actually working for you. So Cash Flow Quadrant, again, phenomenal book. Check it out. By the way, all these books will link in the description box below if you guys want to pick them up on Amazon. Again, highly suggested by us. So I'm going to switch things up just a little bit for my book, and I'm going to be talking about The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Now, this is going to tag on to what Steve and David have already been talking about, but the main idea for me in this book was defining what true riches or what true wealth is. And I think so many of us are working, let's say, for that millionaire lifestyle, right? And the idea behind this book was that you may be able to live more of that millionaire lifestyle now rather than grinding it out, doing it like working your bones off, trying to make that millionaire paycheck. I think we all think the money is going to be so transformative, so life-changing. But if you talk to these big CEO folks, again, nothing wrong with this, but most of them struggle deeply with their family lives, with their rest lives, with their work-life balance. And so Tim Ferriss really challenges the idea of what true riches are. And again, there's so much more in this book about, it kind of goes along with the cash flow quadrants and basically the idea that you really focus on investing on assets and small business side hustles that you can then farm out to other workers to get more time. And in his opinion, having the freedom of time will give you that millionaire lifestyle. Now, you may not be able to live lavishly in the mansion, drive the fancy sports car, throw around lots of cash. But if that is your goal, if that's what you really want, then yeah, sure, go after that CEO, position. But I think what most of us are actually looking for is the freedom to work whenever, wherever, with whomever, and on whatever we want to. And if you can lock in those 4 W's, then it doesn't matter really what you're making, the number, dollar figure behind your name. It's more about how you're able to make that. And so that, again, something shifted in me when I read this book years ago, almost a decade ago now. And my wife and I began working on side hustles. So we were working full-time for a nonprofit, and we really began hustling a little bit on our side hustles, knowing that if we put enough energy into those, they would slowly grow. And over the years they've shifted from side hustle income into enough income where we could go half-time at our nonprofit position. And now over the last few years, they are making us enough money passively where we are able to completely let go of full-time work. And now we're time rich. And it's been absolutely incredible. So again, that's my big point, is define what wealth equals to you. If it's the fancy watches, the sports cars, the houses, okay, then you may need a job that mirrors that, but understand you're giving away most of your time to get that. Is it the freedom to work on those 4 W's whenever, wherever, with whomever, and on whatever you want? Well, that's a lot easier to attain than you might think. So there you go. That is our 3 books. We've got The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. We've got The Cash Flow Quadrant, and we have The Richest Man in Babylon. Again, all these books will be linked in the description box below. Anything else you guys want to add? Anything else that we feel like super important for people to think through around these ideas?
I was just going to simply say, I think all 3 of these books talk primarily about whole life wealth. And that's what we're talking about, not just money in the bank, but a whole life wealth where we have time to do the things that we love and that we care about and that are passionate about besides just making money. And so I think that's what these different things, these principles, I think that's what these different principles can teach us from these books.
Yeah, going, David, I'll say time. I think time is so important. It is your greatest asset you will ever have. So again, time is the one thing that you can't get back. Maximize your time. So is it maximizing your money? Is that the goal in life, or is it really maximizing your time? I would say time definitely wins out over money, and money will show you how you're using your time as well. So anyway, always think through that. In fact, when I think about time, if you ever want to do a great YouTube video, it's on your life in jelly beans. So basically it takes jelly beans for the number of hours you've got in your life and how it can be spread out. And so much of your life is spent in brushing your teeth, going to bed, and you only have a certain amount of time in your life. Take advantage of the time and let things work for you, and let the assets, things that you put into motion, work for you. I think that's huge.
Love it. Love it. How about you guys? As our audience, do you have any books that have been your absolute favorite? Maybe some main ideas from those books, absolute favorite? Put them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Obviously, as always, if this has been a helpful video, hit that thumbs up button for us and subscribe, because we are making a bunch more videos on everything from real estate to our wealth journey, side hustle tips, and we look forward to sharing a lot more with you guys in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.